One of the biggest decisions creative agencies make is how they price their services. And too often, I see agencies choose a pricing structure early on when they're starting out. And once they do it, it rarely ever changes subsequently. But in my experience, the most successful agencies regularly review and refine their pricing as they grow. Now, there are surgical ways on how to evaluate and optimize pricing, but before you get into that level of detail, something more fundamental needs to happen first. You need to understand the different ways agencies can price their work because once you understand the pros and the cons of the main pricing models, you're halfway toward winning the battle, toward optimizing your pricing. And that matters more than people realize. Your pricing structure ultimately determines how your agency grows, the types of clients that you end up attracting, and how predictable your revenue becomes over time. So, in this video, we're gonna walk through the main four ways creative agencies can price their services and how to think about each one of them. I'm Jose Cardenas, CPA and enrolled agent at Westfront Tax and Accounting. We provide business accounting, bookkeeping, and tax planning services to growing businesses and specialize in creative agencies. The first and old school way of billing your clients is with hourly billing, and it's just what it sounds like. You charge by the hour, and based on the total amount of hours that it takes you to fulfill the service to a given client or for a given project, is pretty much a simple math from there. What you ultimately end up charging your clients per hour is what we call your standard rate. And there are a few ways on how you can get to it or back into it. What makes hourly billing great, or better said, worse, in my opinion, is that it places the burden of performance on the client. You typically give an estimated number of hours that you think it's going to take you to complete the project. And well, if you go over that for whatever reason, at times due to inefficiencies on your part, you still get paid for those extra hours as well. It incentivizes you to take longer to fulfill. This is why you're often put under a microscope when something takes you 3 hours and, well, for whatever reason, the client feels like it should have taken you 1 hour instead. Then you have that back and forth. It plants the seed for an adversarial relationship. And if you think about it, hourly billing penalizes you for being efficient as well. So you become better, you become faster at something, at delivering, especially now that we have artificial intelligence at our disposal, only to get paid less. So something that used to take you 2, 3 hours may only take you 30 minutes nowadays. That being said, yes, hourly billing absolutely does not make sense in many cases for agencies, given our era with AI, and for good reason, to be honest. But it does make sense when there's uncertainty with the scope of work, with the scope of the situation. As an example, this is why lawyers and CPAs have hourly rates when it comes to consults. It's a way to say, hey, look, we'll figure it out together and you only have to pay for this amount for this allotted amount of time. Flat fee billing is a variation of hourly billing because it is based on the time, based on the hours that you think that the work is going to take to complete, but it does not move with time. You estimate the number of hours the projects will take times your standard rate, and then you and your client agree to that number upfront. So for example, if your standard rate is $150 an hour for design services, as an example, and the project or task at hand, you think that it's going to take 24 hours, that would result in a flat fee of $3,600. But many times, agencies layer a buffer of say 10% of the would-be price, because the headache that comes with this pricing model is that if something takes longer to complete than what you originally thought, you don't get paid more. At the same time though, if the project takes less time than what you originally thought, you take the same amount of profits home. This uncertainty is the price to pay for its predictable nature, which predominantly is what makes it so appealing nowadays. What I personally like about the flat fee pricing model is that it forces agencies to become quicker, to become more efficient with their time. Because think about it, the more flat fee engagements you're able to squeeze in a given year, in a given month, the more profitable you'll be, the more productive you and your team are with time. As a result, that often comes with building processes, a very important thing to have across the organization to maximize the value of your agency. Retainer-based billing is an all-time common for agencies. This pricing model often structured around either a defined number of deliverables or a defined amount of capacity from the team, an allotted time from the team, which could be per week, per month, to build the client for at a set price upfront. The client essentially keeps your agency on an ongoing relationship, on an ongoing agreement for you to continuously deliver work, such as for content creation, social media management, SEO optimization, website maintenance, website creation, design services, or just ongoing marketing strategy and reporting. The model is fantastic for building long term relationships, predictable revenue, and it's easier to capacity plan with it. And look, clients love it because they usually get ongoing support. They also get, usually, in my experience, they also get priority access. And look, it makes their marketing cost predictable as well. So you get paid the same amount upfront for the work that you're going to do. And if you end up working more, you should get compensated for that as well subsequently. But here's where many agencies get this one wrong. A retainer only works best if the scope is clearly defined, because if the scope is vague, what ends up happening is the famous scope creep. And a client ends up asking you for extra landing pages, small revisions, small edits, additional pieces of content. This is what makes you a less profitable agency. You want to be able to squeeze as many retainers as you can under your umbrella while maximizing your capacity at the same time, of course. But hopefully, at the point of you having to charge for any additional work, your proposal is clear about the scope of work for you to justifiably charge for any scope creeps, because this is the biggest problem with retainers, and it comes from vague proposals and vague deliverables. A retainer is as powerful as how protected the scope of work is. The more specific and clear you are, the better off you'll be. Last but not least, value-based pricing, hands down the best pricing model, and the one you'll often find mature agencies using. Instead of using a pricing that is based on hours, deliverables, or monthly scope, value-based pricing is based on a percentage of the value the agency helps create for the client. The question becomes less about how long something takes and more about what the result is worth to the client. You have to deeply understand the client's business needs. So, for example, if a creative agency has a project to help an e-commerce brand redesign its, I don't know, its landing pages and advertising creatives, if those changes help increase the brand's conversion rate and you end up generating an additional $500,000 over the next year for the e-commerce brand, the value you just created is substantial. And right there is the difficult part, how you come to quantify and say you're going to make an additional $500,000 with what you're going to deliver. It has to make sense to the client because it's based on what the client values most. But once you're able to reasonably quantify the value, instead of just charging hourly or a flat fee based on how long you think it's going to take you to fulfill, you're exponentially way better off just charging a percentage of the $500,000 in this example. You win, the client wins. Regardless of how you price your services, the work that you do for a living consumes time, and that's your most expensive resource. If your team is not efficient, you're still paying their salary. So you want to be able to make sure that your team is operating as efficiently as possible so that your agency stays profitable. This is why smart agencies don't just build on delivery systems, they also track time. And this is where many agencies trip over, especially when they move into a value-based pricing. They think that you no longer need to track time, but tracking time was never about billing in the first place. It's how you quantify capacity, utilization, and efficiency. After all, there is still a cost to you for delivering value. If a retainer takes 40 hours from your team every week, every month, and another retainer takes 120 hours, that difference has an impact on your margins. And too often, agencies try to fix taxes first when taxes is their second or third biggest cost, and their biggest cost, number one, labor, often left in the dark. And honestly, it's the easiest to start getting under control. How? With time tracking. That's where operational clarity through your financials starts. And then once your pricing structure is right, that is put to bed, what matters most is understanding what it actually takes to deliver the work, because pricing determines your revenue, but understanding the lift behind the work is what ultimately determines profit, where you actually end up taking home. So if you're interested in bringing more structure to your agency so that you finally get operational clarity, improve your margins, and optimize your taxes throughout the year so that you're ultimately building something that's actually worth selling someday in the future, you can book a free discovery call with me to work with us. The link is in the description below. And that's all I got for this video. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, make sure you smash the like button for me, subscribe, follow the channel. And with that said, I'll see you on the next one.